this one, if you couldn't tell. It's a triple feature, 3-pack. I miss these. Make more of those.
This looks like a real library of classics.
Can you turn that off? David? What movie is that?
I don't know.
David, is that this room?
It sure looks like it.
Welcome back to the 12th annual Halloween special. Tonight we're talking about a film that I think is really underappreciated, and that film is called Vacancy. It was directed by Nimród, Antal, and was written by Mark L. Smith, who also wrote this film's sequel, as well as films like Overlord, The Revenant, and this year's Twisters, amongst many more. He's become a very prolific writer. The selling point of this movie is that a couple, played by Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale, check into a motel in the middle of nowhere when their car breaks down. And they begin to realize, as the night progresses, that they just might be starring in a snuff film. That's enough for me to want to watch the movie, but what makes Vacancy really special is that this isn't just about a couple that finds themselves in this terrible situation. These characters are not getting along anymore. We figure that out from the opening. In fact, they're probably on their way to a divorce. And they spend a large portion of this relatively sparse runtime in a place like that, where they aren't getting along, and this extreme situation forces them to have to work together and survive the night. And along the way, you begin to see them repair their relationship, which for me makes Vacancy kind of special. There's a version of this movie where both of these characters are high school seniors, and it's prom night, and they go to this motel and all of this stuff happens. They're in love with each other, and they have to survive. And that movie might be fun too, but there's something about making these characters be in their later 30s or early 40s and having their marriage be so on the rocks that makes the film, I think, much stronger. And Luke Wilson and Kate Beckinsale are both very, very good in this movie, despite a lot of reports at the time this movie came out in 2007 that there were on-set feuds. You can't tell when you watch the movie. The characters are supposed to be at each other's throats for about half the movie, and that's what you're supposed to experience. But even as they begin to repair their relationship, it feels very authentic. So reading into the production of the movie, it was a little disheartening to learn that they had so many issues on set, because I've always really enjoyed this film, and you can't tell while you watch it. And a lot of that's credit to the director and the writer, because this film is paced so efficiently. As I said, it's under 90 minutes, and of course that includes credits, and so this movie goes by fast. What's also really impressive about Vacancy is the snuff films themselves. They look sufficiently lo-fi, there's a lot of angle changes, and apparently these snuff films were not blocked out extensively, and the victims are actually stunt people. And so they're able to be thrown around the room and do a lot of falls safely. And since they weren't so heavily blocked out, they're able to look kind of crazy and a bit home video-esque. And apparently these snuff films were actually shot on the first day of shooting to really get everybody into the mood of everything. But also, I imagine this allowed the actors to potentially watch them on set. I have a bit of an eye for screen replacement now, and I'm wondering if this is screen replacement or if Kate Beckinsale and Luke Wilson were actually able to watch some of them on set, because I can imagine that only helped their performances. Frank Whaley is also fantastic as the owner of this motel, who we meet when he comes out of his office, and we hear screams back there, and he's like, I was just watching TV, and you're like, no man, you were watching something else. He captured something very authentic about this character, because there's a way you could play this guy where everything is very on the nose and obvious, but he has a lot of deep-seated anger and misogyny. You can especially tell when Kate Beckinsale is giving them some problems, and she's not dying easily like they would like her to. A lot of that comes out, and he's really, really good in the role. Also really fun about the movie was that part of the marketing strategy was a toll-free phone number. And when you called it, you were greeted by the voice of Frank Whaley, the motel owner, who talks about slashing the prices and the killer deals that the motel has. I have a major soft spot for movies that take place in a contained period of time and that find a way to make that make sense. Because it is so easy nowadays. Again, this wasn't current modern day cell phone times, but it's still 2007, people had cell phones, and it's so easy to have a movie like this end because a character gets access to something that can call the police or something along those lines. And even though the characters do get the police to come in this movie, they are of no assistance. And that comes down to really good writing. Mark L. Smith, again, fantastic writer. He found ways to make this motel become a labyrinth of horror for these characters, which is reflected in the intense opening titles that feel like a maze, all of the names and their various credits winding in and out of various spaces. When it comes to horror thrillers, I don't think Vacancy is mentioned enough. I think it's a really damn good movie. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's, as I said, extremely fast-paced. It's a very quick watch. It's got great performances, very good direction. I think it's worth your time. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch the 12th annual Halloween special. I'm going to have a ton of new videos coming for you very soon, and as always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmannized.